Okay, hi everybody. It's Natalie Alicia Gold here with the Gold Standard, and I am joined today with one of my dear friends, Dr. Eva Selhub. Hi, Dr. Eva.
Hi, hello. So good to see you from far away.
So amazing to see you. You look gorgeous as always. And Dr. Eva, not just gorgeous, but so brilliant, has done so much. She's an internationally recognized expert, physician, speaker, scientist, and consultant in the fields of stress, resilience, spirituality, fitness, integrative medicine, and working with the natural environment to maximize your health and well-being. She's the author of 4 critically acclaimed books and is the only certified teacher in North America to teach the method of how to think like Leonardo da Vinci. She's a board certified internal medicine doctor, as well as an instructor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, and was a clinical associate of the world-renowned Benson Hedering Institute for Mind-Body Medicine at Massachusetts General Hospital for close to 20 years, serving as their medical director for 6 of those years. Dr. Selhub works with clients, corporations, and scientific colleagues to redefine the ways in which we approach health and wellness to a model that incorporates alternative approaches to health, as well as creativity, innovation, and resilience. And you may have seen her because she's able to translate her powerful and amazing gifts into the world with her books, with different corporate challenges, experiences, as well as the Dr. Oz Show, amongst many other television hits. So, Dr. Eva, how blessed are we to have you today?
Well, I feel blessed to get to chat with you today.
So, Dr. Eva, you know, you have done so much in your career. And what I love the most is that you have all the credentials as a doctor, as and you said, you know what, I am seeing a different way in which the true practice of healing can come to the masses. So how did you make that decision to pivot from working as a quote unquote typical doctor to truly embracing your gifts and skills and doing the work you do today?
Well, it's a really good question because it came in waves. It wasn't sort of something that I just said, oh, I'm done. I need to do something else. It came in waves, and it started early. So when I was doing my residency at Boston City Hospital, that which was back in from 94 to 97. So it's a three-year term. And I was really all set to do medicine. I was going to be a pulmonary doctor and work in intensive care units. So I was planning on doing a fellowship. So I was really gung-ho about doing the normal track of medicine with fellowship and academia and on the whole bit. And in 1996, we had a different virus that was threatening us, and that was the HIV virus. And our patients, we had a huge patient population with HIV. And I had the unfortunate experience of being stuck with a needle. I had HIV in
Oh my
1996.
God.
And which, was the end of my second year of my residency. And I just had a wake-up call. I was one of the first people to start medications that were,
Oh
it's
my
called
God.
it's called the post-exposure prophylactic cocktail of medications that you take after exposure to try to prevent conversion. So I was one of the first people to take that back in 1996. And back then, look, now people live with it. It's just like a chronic disease. And back then, people died horrible deaths. And so for me, back then, I really had no coping skills. I was distressed and crying and depressed, and was bargaining with, if there was a God, I said, please let me live. I'll swear I'll be a better person. And fortunately, after 6 weeks of taking the medications, I did not convert to HIV. And because of that, I said, okay, I'm going to live up to my bargain, with God. And I'm going to help people more than I do now. And I really had to think hard about what I was planning on doing and working in the intensive care unit. And I really thought to myself, why are you spending this time saving people who are on their way out, as opposed to preventing people from going there in the first place?
Wow. Whew.
And so I thought, okay, I got to learn how to do primary care right now. And I never really wanted to do that, but I just didn't know what else I wanted to do. So I actually followed a midwife around for a while. and said, let me learn some different things. And this is sort of my third year of my residency. I'm going to be set free in a year. But during that time, so imagine this is probably a 5-month period from June of 1996 to November of 1996 that I had a needle stick, had to go on medications that made me sick. My dog died. My grandfather died. Somebody was harassing me, and I had to take to court. And my apartment burnt down, and I lost all my possessions, and I had no renter's insurance. And then my father had a heart attack, all within 5 months. So
Wow.
needless to say, during each one of these sort of pushbacks, I would sort of kind of fall apart a little bit and then pull myself back together, and I say, okay, I'm going to make this better. Okay, I'm going to make this better. Okay, I'm going to make this better. And by the time my father had a heart attack and my apartment burned down in November, I said, I'm done. I don't have anything left. Why is this happening to me? And I felt totally victimized by my circumstances and became extremely depressed, which took several months for me to get out. I was just really a walking zombie. I didn't have the will. I didn't have the will to live. I was just really depressed. And then I just sort of came out of it one day. I think a friend took me out to dinner, and she said, we miss you. We miss your smile. You haven't been the same for a year. And it was about a year that, I was sort of in this kind of
year of darkness.
A year of darkness. And I just thought to myself, why am I walking around feeling like a victim? Nature just as soon lets a forest fire burn as a flower bloom. It's not personal. All this time you've been saying, why me? But really the question is, why not me? It's really not what life does to you. It's what life does with you. So you can either feel like you're a victim of life and life is happening to you, or you can feel like you're part of life and life is happening with you. Now, I wasn't 100% at the with you stage, but I knew that I needed to figure that out. And I also wanted to find out, what is really going on, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. We don't learn that in medical schools.
We don't learn it anywhere. And then
I saw that,
how we learn.
Exactly. And I was seeing how I was affected by things and how I dealt with things very differently when I was in distress emotionally. So I started volunteering at the Mind Body Medical Institute, which became the Benson Henry Institute for Mind Body Medicine. And I wanted to learn about mind body medicine, the mind body connection. And I started working as a primary care doctor at the same time. And while there, they asked me to be the medical director, and I started splitting my time between mind body medicine and primary care medicine. And 5 years into primary care medicine, I was like, I can't do this, because medicine was changing. They're making incentives. And I said, the day that I have to start looking at my patients' numbers is the day that I have to leave. And that's what was happening. We were being told you had to be to see more people. We were going to get paid less or paid more. And it was just really unpleasant. My colleagues weren't happy. And I said, I don't want to work like this. So I was working part-time as medical director. So I quit my job as a primary care doctor, and I started studying with healers from all over the world. And I opened up my own practice of merging Eastern and Western medicine together in 2003, which I did up until, this last year. I closed that practice down because I was shifting out into new things. So it's sort of a metamorphosis of over time of, like I said, I didn't actually leave the clinical practice until last year, and now shifting towards working in a culture environment, working with larger groups and trying to shift the way we do things. So for me, it's been a personal journey of learning and growth, and as well as working and learning and treating thousands and thousands of people. And it's sort of been an evolution that brought me to a place now that I really strongly feel that in order for things to change, for our health to change, our culture needs to change. And we need to change to a place of love.
So what kind of cultural shifts, Dr. Eva, are we looking at as a society that we have to make to live happier, healthier, and wealthier lives?
Well, it's a really good question, because part of this is looking back at our ancestors. Right? They didn't have what we have. They didn't have shelter. They didn't have food that was accessible all the time. So what they had to employ were God-given gifts that enabled them to survive, to at least, survive until their 30s or 40s, or whenever it is that they lived till, but would allow them to mitigate uncertainty. And that was eating what was organically available, the food that was naturally available. That was staying fit, because the fittest person got to the food and got to eat. That was why it was survival of the fittest. And it's just being together, because it was impossible for us to live alone. So we lived in a social infrastructure. We spent time with nature, connected with nature, using our senses in nature. We prayed and connected to something larger than ourselves, because we didn't have science to explain everything. We, hold on a second here. I have to end this. How do I end this? How do I end this? Sorry about that.
No problem.
Now we'll have to edit that. Hold on. Let me get
Okay.
my video on. Okay, why won't it turn? You're upside down for me. Oh, anyway, we'll have to edit that.
Can you turn it? Because you're coming out sideways in the video. Okay, now it's coming out. No.
Oh, there it goes. Now it's turned.
Okay, good.
So, oh yeah. So they used nature, and they used spirituality, with that profound belief that we connect to something larger than ourselves, which now we need to have science or evidence, and we've become really disconnected from that sense of connectedness. And so what we need is what we've always had, in other words, and we need to re-employ it, because we've become disconnected from it. We've become disconnected from nature. We've become disconnected from fitness and moving our bodies and feeling alive. We've become disconnected from what is actually nutrient-rich food. We don't even know what healthy means, right? We've become disconnected from one another, and we're really feeling that now with the social isolation we've had to experience with COVID. We've become disconnected from spirituality, from something that connects us to something so much larger. We don't even know what's true and what isn't true, because we're so addicted to reality TV and whatever things that and electronics and things like that. We've become disconnected from spirituality. We become disconnected from the richness that life can bring us. Right?
So what do we do? How do we shift?
It's about reconnecting, right? So I think one of the beautiful things that is happening from this experience is that people aren't going and rushing. There's nothing to rush to and go to, right? So there's no, people are being forced to contemplate more, forced to spend more time with, wondering about how the people that they love are doing and feeling disconnected from them. Some more people are going out in nature to that opportunity to be outside and be away. More people are meditating because they're stressed. So people are turning towards the things that will help us get reconnected. And that's really what's going to enable us to survive in this very trying time. And in general, is to become reconnected with your spirit, with your sense of self, with your senses, with nature, and with the beauty and love that others can provide for you and with you, so that we can mitigate uncertainty together.
I've read multiple times that the most successful life, and I'm not talking who has the most money, but I'm saying the most successful, well-lived life is typically the one that has wonderful human interaction with other people. If you had to kind of give us the top thing, would that be your number one thing as well, or would you change that?
I think it depends on also your personality. Some people are introverts and some people are extroverts. Mm-hmm. So the most important thing is the connection with love, and remembering that love comes in different forms. So love comes in the form of social love, which is people. We're social beings, so we need other people. But it remembers that needs to be a giving and receiving type of environment. Not just a giving and not just a receiving, but an equal, looking at our social peers and our groups and our families. And is this one that is a loving relationship that's both giving and receiving. So that's part of a form of love. But another form of love is spiritual love. It's that profound connection to something larger than self, where we know that we are loved and taken care of, whether you believe in God or source or infinite intelligence or spirit or just nature. It's that belief that we actually belong. And that's another form of love. And the other form of love is self-love, is to really say, I really love myself, and I love my body, and I love my existence, and I love being here, and therefore I nurture myself in any way possible. And so it's a feeling of gratitude that we can connect to for our lives. So love comes in many, many different forms, and at different times it calls for different things. And again, according to your personality type, you might be to somebody who's more of an introvert, who's better served with a more spiritual type of interaction.
Now, Dr. Eva, well, speaking of love, I think, every ailment in the world is experienced because of a lack of love in one form or another. Many people today, I'm on calls all day long with other attorneys, and the divorce attorneys are saying, we can't wait till the courts open up again because there's 32,000 cases that are waiting for a divorce. Okay, and this is not just you run into a schmo on the street and you have an interaction. This is the person you vowed to live a life with, to have children with, and yet people are falling, quote unquote, out of love. So what is happening here, and how can these people, especially if they're stuck in the same home, especially if there's no reprieve from the law right now, what can be done to either make the relationship better or truly exit from it in a loving way that doesn't ruin everything?
Well, that would be the goal. So the first thing I think everybody wants to remember is relationships are not meant to last. Okay, so some are meant to last for a lifetime, but most are going to be short-lived. So it could be from the person you meet in the street to the person you meet on a plane to a neighbor that eventually moves, right? So, and people will die. So relationships don't last forever unless you believe in lifetimes. You can, reincarnate and come back into lifetimes if you believe in that. But the truth of the matter is that nobody was put into this world to love you. They were put into this world to love themselves, and so that you can come together and love one another as whole beings. And so the problem is because we're not conscious and we're not whole in our minds and bodies and spirits, we look outside of ourselves to feel that love. We look outside of ourselves to be valued, right? So the high that we have in the beginning of a relationship is because that person's reflecting back to us love, right? But they don't really know us, right? And we have our insecurities, and we're saying, well, I have all these insecurities and I need you to love me despite my insecurities. And if you don't, I'm going to be mad at you. And you're not doing what I need you to do to make me happy, so I'm going to be mad at you. And so the problem in relationships is that we throw our baggage at our partners rather than saying, will you accept me with my baggage and help me go through it. And so that's what happens from the beginning of a relationship, which leads to the arguments that then happen throughout the relationship that causes separation. Now, not every relationship is meant to last. Every relationship is meant to help you grow, to reflect back to you yourself so that you can learn to love yourself. So when we learn to love ourselves, we can be in a relationship whole and complete without expecting that person to be something they're not. And you either accept it and stay, or you accept it and leave. But either way, you accept it. And the problem that we have with these cantankerous and belligerent divorces is that we're really angry that that person isn't who they said they were going to be. But they couldn't be. Everybody has to take care of themselves. And sometimes taking care of yourself is going to be at the expense of somebody else. That's just what happens. And so as people learn, and when I'm working with people and when I work with couples, I say, I'm going to teach both of you to fall in love with yourselves. And when you fall in love with yourself, you can decide whether or not you actually want to be with that person. But remember that what brought you together was love. So at the foundation of this relationship is love. Now, you may not
You fall
like
in love
them.
with yourself.
Well, that's what this whole process is. The whole process is of learning to fall in love with my body, with my heart, with my shadow side, with my beautiful side, because my imperfection is my perfection. There's only one me. And so we work on underlying beliefs that were programmed during early life experiences, through culture. We work on connection to something higher than self to feel loved, and we reprogram the experience of love, which is what I call the love response, within oneself. Because then we can be more compassionate, more loving, more accepting of the person who is with us, even though they're not who we might want them to be. But remember, nobody is put into this world to fix you or to love you. They were put into this world to figure themselves out. And that's what relationships are for, to help us figure ourselves out. So some are meant to last, most are not. And that's okay. And most people are angry because of fear. I'm scared of being alone. I'm scared of not having enough, of the control issues. And so that's what leads to all the fighting and all the anger. So again, when you want to consciously uncouple, you will help each person learn to love themselves and to know what love truly is. So then you can accept the situation and stay, or accept the situation and leave.
But truly make an informed decision and understand. I think it's so valuable what you do, because no matter whether the relationship is saved or not, you are saved as a human being.
That's right.
Having a spiritual experience, or a spiritual being having a human experience.
That's right.
Which is probably more accurate.
Yeah, and you're exactly, you're a human being, you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and that's really what we came here for, right? If you think I came into this earth to have a human experience, well, you're having one, and it comes with everything.
School, we're all
right.
here.
It comes with everything, and like I said, when I realized nature just as soon lets a forest fire burn as a flower bloom, it's not personal. It's not happening to you. It's happening with you, and you can decide how you want to deal with it. As a victim, this person is attacking me, I'm being affected by this, it's hurting me, or this is happening with me. What are my choices? Given what is, what can I do? It's a much more resilient mindset, and that's really our choice. It doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean that we have to like it. You can say this really sucks, but I'll get through it. What do I have to get through it?
I was taught, in Kabbalah, that when something happens that you don't like, say, what a pleasure. And it opens up an entire new way of seeing the thing as to what am I learning? What's the lesson I can.
That's right.
And, I find that we have to learn these lessons, because, Eva, how often do you see the same people making the same mistake over and over and over again, because they haven't learned the lesson?
Well, I also think of it, I think of it as a co-creation, right? Life is like I said, if you want to think that life is happening to you or with you, the with you means it's a co-creation.
Yeah.
So if I believe that I'm not worthy, then I'm going to keep attracting situations that support me not to feel worthy, because I will find the evidence if I look for it. But if I start believing in my wholeness and my worthiness, and that nothing outside is going to determine that, then that's what I'm going to see.
Beautiful.
Okay.
You have given me and all of our viewers, I'm sure, such a beautiful look into how our life can be exponentially better experienced, how our mission on this planet as a co-creator can truly affect our health, our wealth, and our happiness. And I think you said something profound to me in our conversations, leading up to this, which was, people don't really value health and wealth as much as they do happiness. And if you could just give us, the quick synopsis onto why happiness is the number one thing that we value as human beings.
Well, it's interesting. It's actually from a physiological perspective. So every living organism desires to find a state of balance, which in biology we call homeostasis. So that's true for every living organism. And so homeostasis, which is a steady state or a state of balance, is impossible to maintain because things are constantly moving and changing. So we're hardwired and programmed to seek relief. Right? We're wired for that. That's what stress is a challenge to your state of stability. So you're hungry, that's a stress. You eat something, you find relief. So every action, everything we do, all our behaviors are part of that motivation to find relief. So we're always seeking relief, contentedness, happiness. And because we're looking for happiness or relief outside of ourselves, we do it at the expense of other things like our health or our wealth or our relationships. We sabotage, in other words, because happiness, I need to have that food, or I need to have that wealth, right? I'll do whatever I have to get all the money, and then I'll be happy, then I'll be okay. Then I'll take care of my health. I was on a Zoom call last week, and this woman said, when this is all over, then we can start taking care of ourselves. Then we'll go back to exercising and stuff like that. Right now, my spandex is expanding. And I said, well, why would you wait? Like, everything is in the now.
There is
right?
no tomorrow guaranteed.
That's right. So if you choose, and happiness is accessible now. So if we access happiness right now, that we have the ability to access that happiness now, then everything else will happen accordingly. But if I say I will be happy if, so that's in search of happy. I will be happy if, as opposed to saying I am happy and.
I am happy and. That is the mantra. And thank you, Dr. Eva, for a riveting half an hour session with me. It has been a beautiful pleasure. You have certainly increased my level of happiness, and I know that you have helped so many people with this increase theirs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love to you. We'll see you soon. Stay healthy, happy, and wealthy, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.